In football, we love the underdogs, those teams who dare to defy the establishment. And in the Champions League, this is something that has been losing in time. However, there's always a team that makes us believe that this will be the year where an underdog finally wins. Since Porto and Monaco played the Champions League final in 2004, Europe's mid-tier clubs haven't come that close again. However, PSV Eindhoven with players like Ji-sung Park, Mark van Bommel, Jefferson Farfan, and the veteran Philippe Cocu came incredibly close to achieving that goal in 2005. They finished second in the group stage, then easily defeated runner-up Monaco in the round of 16. In the quarterfinals, they faced another French league team, Lyon, and eliminated them in a penalty shootout. In the semi-finals, they faced against an incredibly powerful AC Milan. PSV managed a legendary tie on aggregate, but a stoppage time goal by Massimo Ambrosini knocked them out of the final due to the away goals rule. In 2005, Villarreal, led by Santi Cazorla, Marco Senna, Juan Román Riquelme, Diego Forlán, and managed by Manuel Pellegrini, achieved an outstanding third place in La Liga, earning their first ever Champions League qualification. As if that wasn't an achievement in itself, they eliminated Everton, featuring Mikel Arteta and Tim Cahill. In the preliminary round, they then topped their group, finishing far above than the powerful Manchester United. Football turned upside down. In the round of 16, Villarreal overcame Glasgow Rangers through the away goal rule. In the quarterfinals, they eliminated Inter Milan, again thanks to the away goal rule. In the semi-finals, they faced Arsenal. They lost 1-0 in London and returned home for the second leg. The match was tied 0-0 when, in the 89th minute, Villarreal won a penalty. Riquelme stepped up, but Jens Lehmann saved it. And just like that, the dream was over. True to their centuries-old tradition, Fenerbahce assembled a promising squad in 2008, packed with veterans and semi-retired players like Diego Lugano, Roberto Carlos, and the club hero Alex. Their coach? None other than one of the greatest footballers of all time, Artur Antunes Coimbra, better known as Zico. However, this season was not a regular one of Turkish football downfall. Instead, it was an unforgettable campaign in which, for the first and only time for now in their history, Fenerbahce survived the group stage. Then, they knocked out Sevilla on penalties in the round of 16. In the quarterfinals, they faced Chelsea. The Turkish club won 2-1 in Istanbul, keeping their semi-final dreams alive until Frank Lampard shattered them in the 87th minute. How easily the 2010 Champions League run of Girondins de Bordeaux has been forgotten, but that's what this video is for, to give them a little bit more of justice. In the group stage, they didn't just outperform Juventus and Bayern Munich, they dominated, remaining undefeated and conceding just 2 goals. In the round of 16, the team led by Johan Gourcuff won both legs against Olympiacos. However, in the quarterfinals, they faced another French side, one that they couldn't overcome, Olympique Lyon. At that time, Lyon was a serious team, one that made it to beat Real Madrid in the round of 16. They advanced to the semi-finals after defeating Bordeaux 3-2 on aggregate. In 2010, Bordeaux crashed a party to which they would never be invited again. Destiny decided to disrespect Girondins Bordeaux, since they're now in the French 4th division. During the 2010-11 season, the unthinkable happened. Raúl González left Real Madrid after 16 record-breaking seasons. His exotic destination? Schalke 04. Raúl joined the squad featuring Manuel Neuer, Benedict Höwedes, Joel Matip, Jefferson Farfan, Ivan Rakitic, Julian Draxler, and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar. The gamble was disastrous in the Bundesliga. The club's worst season in 15 years. narrowly avoiding relegation. However, at the same time, it was a glorious campaign, as they won the German Cup and, most notably, had a memorable Champions League run. They finished first in their group, though it wasn't exactly the group of death. In the round of 16, they beat Valencia. In the quarterfinals, they faced the reigning Champions League holders, Inter Milan, and crushed them 5-2 at the Giuseppe Meazza, securing a 7-3 aggregate victory to reach the semi-finals for the first and only time in their history. Once there, Schalke was demolished by Manchester United. Okay, this is a good one. In 2012, a club from Cyprus made it all the way to the Champions League quarterfinals, the exclusive elite tournament. Apoel Nicosia began their journey by eliminating Albania's Skanderbeu, Slovakia's Slovan Bratislava, and Poland's Wisla Krakow to reach their group stage, where they weren't just there to make up numbers. Surprisingly, Apoel Nicosia finished top of their group, so they faced an Olympic Lyon that was already decaying, and Apoel eliminated them on penalties. In the quarterfinals, the Cypriot underdogs took one less thrill from the competition, scoring 2 goals at the Santiago Bernabeu against Real Madrid. Malaga experienced 3 golden years starting in 2010, when the cousin of the Emir of Qatar bought the club. 1 year before, his powerful relative took over Paris Saint-Germain. Gradually, Malaga attracted players who previously only vacationed there. Julio Baptista, Martín de Michelis, Salomón Rondón, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Joaquín and Santi Cazorla. The coach was Manuel Pellegrini, and the standout talent was young Isco Alarcón. Together they secured a historic 4th place finish in La Liga, earning Malaga their first and only Champions League appearance. And they made the most of it. In the group stage, Malaga finished unbeaten and top of their group, above the still powerful AC Milan. In the round of 16, they knocked out Porto, led by Jackson Martinez. In the quarterfinals, they drew 0-0 in the first leg against Borussia Dortmund. In the second match, Malaga led 2-1 in Germany at the 19th minute. They were in the semi-finals. Dortmund needed a miracle, 2 goals to turn it around, and they got them. The last goal? A clear offside. That night, Malaga woke up and never dreamed again. In the 2015-2016 season, Wolfsburg sold their star Kevin De Bruyne for a staggering 75 million. However, even without him, they still managed to qualify for the Champions League round of 16 as group winners, eliminating the not yet so pathetic Manchester United in the final matchday. In the round of 16, Wolfsburg faced the opponent everyone wanted, Belgium's Ghent. Thanks to that, the German club made history by reaching the Champions League quarterfinals. That's where their luck ran out against Real Madrid, but not so fast. In the first leg, Wolfsburg won 2-0. In the second leg, everything went wrong. Julian Draxler got injured, and a Cristiano Ronaldo hat-trick did the rest. Claudio Ranieri's Leicester City knew no limits. If they were able to win in the Premier League in 2016, how could anyone convince them that the Champions League was out of their reach? Their adventure started in the best possible way. They topped their group. In the round of 16, they got past Sevilla, and suddenly Leicester City was among the 8 best teams in Europe. In the quarterfinals, they faced the 2014 and 2016 runners-up, Atletico Madrid, and the Colchoneros finally put an end to the English underdog story. Roma, it's not exactly a small club, but it's also not one we're used to seeing in the Champions League semi-finals. That changed 7 years ago, when they put up a first fight against Liverpool. In fact, the Lupi had only made that stage twice in their history, In 1984 and 2018, led by Edin Dzeko, Raja Nainggolan, Alisson Becker, and, of course, Kostas Manolas, the man who scored the historic header that sealed the impossible comeback against a Barcelona side still considered the best team in the world at the time. Before that, in the round of 16, Roma had narrowly defeated Shakhtar Donetsk, and in the group stage, they had shocked Chelsea with a 3-0 win at the Stadio Olimpico, an unexpected result that saw them finish first in an incredibly tough group that also included Atletico Madrid. In 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2015, Ajax was eliminated in the group stage. In 2016, 2017 and 2018, the Dutch club didn't even make it past the preliminary rounds, falling 3 years in a row to minor teams. Then in 2019, Ajax tried again with a new coach, Erik ten Hag, and 4 standout players, Matthijs de Ligt, Frenkie de Jong, Hakim Ziyech, and Dusan Tadic. First, they finally managed to overcome their preliminary round opponents. Hallelujah! Then, in the group stage, what stood out was that they didn't lose to Bayern Munich. In fact, Ajax finished the group stage unbeaten, and for the first time in 13 years advanced to the round of 16. Unfortunately, they drew Real Madrid, the reigning champions of the last 3 editions, 2016, 2017 and 2018. The Spanish side lived up to expectations by winning the first leg in Amsterdam. In that match, Sergio Ramos intentionally got himself booked to miss the second leg and enter the quarterfinals with a clean slate. What he didn't count on, what no one counted on, was that Ajax would mercilessly storm the Santiago Bernabeu. In the quarterfinals, history repeated. Ajax lost at home to Juventus in the first leg, but in the return match in Turin they eliminated Cristiano Ronaldo, who had single-handedly carried Atletico Madrid out of the tournament in the previous round and seemed destined to win his 4th consecutive Champions League. But no, the Dutch side also took down the Portuguese star. The one player they couldn't handle was Lucas Moura. The Amsterdam club had reached the semi-finals for the first time in 22 years. They won the first leg in London, and in the second leg, they advantaged 3-0 on aggregate. All they had to do was prevent Tottenham Hotspur from scoring 3 goals in the final 30 minutes. And then, out of nowhere, the Brazilian forward buried 3 heartbreaking daggers that left the young, innocent, and beautiful Ajax out of the grand final. RB Leipzig is a club founded in 2009 that in just 10 seasons went from playing in Germany's 5th division to reaching the Champions League semi-finals. Talk about Red Bull giving them wings. Led by Dayot Upamecano, Marcel Sabitzer and Timo Werner, the team entered the 2019-2020 season as group winners. In the round of 16, Julian Nagelsmann's side faced Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur. The Red Bulls crushed them in North London and then steamrolled the previous season's Champions League runner-up back in Germany. 5 long months later, the quarterfinals were played, now without their so-called star striker sold to Chelsea. RB Leipzig defied the odds once again by knocking out Atletico Madrid in a single elimination match inside a COVID-free bubble. But 5 days later, their journey ended when Paris Saint-Germain easily handled them in the semi-finals. 17 years later, a club from a town with just 50,000 people, Villarreal once again found itself on the verge of the Champions League final. The Yellow Submarine qualified for the Champions League as the celebrated winners of the 2021 Europa League. Long gone were the stars of the past. Their most important players now were Dani Parejo and Gerard Moreno, but that was enough for Unai Emery's team to reach the round of 16. In that stage, Villarreal literally trashed Juventus away from home. If that wasn't enough, in the quarterfinals, they took down none other than Bayern Munich. Then, in the semi-finals, they finally ran out of miracles against Liverpool. No one expected Borussia Dortmund to make it to the 2024 Champions League final. However, this same Dortmund side, having gradually lost Jude Bellingham, Erling Haaland, Ousmane Dembélé, and many other stars, somehow found a way to shock the world in the final season of veterans like Matt Hummels and Marco Reus. A team that for the first time in years had actually no true superstars, yet still managed to top the group of death. Then they beat PSV Eindhoven in the round of 16, stunned everyone by knocking out Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals, and finally sent Kylian Mbappe's Paris Saint-Germain packing in the semi-finals. In the grand final, Dortmund was seen as the perfect victim for Real Madrid. However, the German club played an outstanding first half that, as usual, ended up meaning absolutely nothing. For me, I still remember the 2019 Ajax. That team really made me believe. But anyways, which one do you think will be the next big surprise in the Champions League? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and give a like.